Hi there, and welcome to the Paula Fiscalshow. We are celebrating a very special guest today, one of my favorite topics, which is business. I've been a business development consultant in San Francisco for over 30 years, and I was thrilled when I actually got a chance to talk with one of the people that are in the business of assisting small businesses stay here in San Francisco. So I want to welcome Helen Branham, who is part of the Urban Solutions program located here in San Francisco, and she is the Director of Small Business Services. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So we're going to start out with your telling us a bit about the whole program, and then we're going to hear about the specifics of your program. But to begin with, I want to ask you a little bit about where you came from. Have you been in the city here long? How did you end up being in this career?
Thank you. I started out in working with small businesses approximately 14, 15 years ago. Initially, I was working with an organization named Women's Initiative, and some people may know that organization. It actually focuses on helping women start businesses and expand businesses, dealing with certain challenges that women are challenged with. I was there for about 5 to 6 years, was project director there, and started the program for the East Bay for the Women's Initiative. Subsequent to that, I actually started my own small business consulting firm where I worked with some nonprofits and some other private business owners. And I was in that capacity for approximately 5 years or so. And from there, I am now with Urban Solutions. And my position there is Director of Small Business Services. I work with different types of businesses, different sizes of businesses, helping them identify areas of obstacles to their growth, providing them with information on how to qualify for a loan, and general technical assistance services that will help them grow their businesses and create jobs.
That sounds really, really good. Now, when you're talking about a business here in San Francisco, as you and I know right now, there are a lot of evictions going on. There are a lot of businesses that are being forced to close. And in some instances, we're just losing the services in San Francisco. Is there something that you do to help these businesses perhaps expand or grow or improve their marketing? How is it that you make these determinations? That's my first question. Is there like a qualification flowchart, or is there an online questionnaire that the businesses need to fill out, or who does this initial interaction with the business?
Initially, when a business is in need of services, one of the things that they will do is they will either contact us by phone. They also sometimes will contact us through our website where they can register their business with a request for services. Once we receive that request, then we will schedule an appointment with them. We sit with them to help explore what some of the issues may be for them. Urban Solutions works with small businesses and strengthen neighborhoods by supporting these small businesses through job creation, diversity, sustainability, and general support. So if a business is being evicted, we have leasing services that are part of our services where we have licensed real estate officers who will then meet with these individuals and determine what some of the areas of need would be in either locating into a new neighborhood, negotiation with the existing landlord if that's a possibility, and or identifying other areas where they could relocate to.
And when you first interact with a business, is there, for example, if it's a cookie shop, do you do an on-site visit, or do you just ask for financials? Because I know that very often a small business could use a loan, or could use some kind of a support system. How is that determined?
We meet with the small business owner and we actually go through what we call an assessment process. During that assessment process, we are looking for areas that are barriers to their growth. We offer loan packaging as one of our core services. In doing that, we will evaluate the small business's capacity to handle a loan. If in fact that a loan is what is needed, then we are loan packagers. We work directly with financial institutions. We work with other micro lenders, and we also work with what we call the crowdfunders. So based on the amount of loan that an individual would need, we're able to handle them and help them fill out all the paperwork. We package the entire loan. Then we act as a catalyst between the small business owner and the financial institution to ensure that the loan actually gets to fruition. We help them navigate the entire process, and we also help them, once the loan has been secured, to ensure that the loan is able to be paid back successfully.
And talking about a couple of those solutions, urban solutions, that's the name of the whole business. You talked about crowdfunding. Now, crowdfunding is something new, and it has everything to do with the internet. Can you give us a few pointers on that particular way of raising money?
Crowdfunding, to your point, is actually the new kid on the block. And it's one of the more creative and innovative ways that small businesses are able to secure funding. Generally, if a business is interested in a crowdfunding opportunity, they would need to compile information about themselves, about the business, about what the funds would be used for, and then how the funds would help the business grow. In putting together their original profile, it needs to be creative. It needs to capture attention. You would also need to come up with a picture, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. And crowdfunding actually relies on other people to believe in the concept that the business owner is promoting. And if it's not believable, then there would be fewer funds that are going to come in to help support that particular venture. The other area that is really important for crowdfunding to be successful is the business owner must use their own network. And what I mean by that is they must have, as part of their own social and other environmental network, individuals that they can make appeal to, who would be interested in helping them move their business forward.
Let's talk a little bit more about the network of support. Now, when people generally start their own business, some of them start in a garage, some of them work out of the home, some of them go to their family and say, I'm going to commandeer this whole bedroom and it's going to be my office. So when you're working with businesses, are there qualifications? For example, does the business already have to be out of the garage?
No, they do not. As a matter of fact, businesses come in all sizes, all shapes, and all
including virtual
sizes.
businesses now? We're talking about someone that can come in and say they have this grand idea? No, because you have to have been in business for how long?
You should have been in business at least 6 months, because that formalizes your whole business concept. It provides you with an opportunity to have kind of evaluated the business idea, and it also gives you an opportunity to determine what direction the business needs to go in. So it makes perfectly good sense to have been in it 6 months to a year.
So we're talking about then a business that has already been in operation for a minimum of 6 months, okay, and then this certainly qualifies as a startup. Now, as a startup, how can you get financials that can really give you an idea of what the profit potential is like? I watch a lot of Shark Tank, and they place a valuation on the business instantaneously within seconds of listening to someone's presentation. So how does your department do this?
Very good question, because a business that's only 6 months old actually has no historical financial standing. That also impacts the ability for that kind of business to secure funding to even grow. One of the most difficult areas of financing is for young, new startup businesses. However, this is where the individual comes in. The structure of the business generally for a young business basically is going to be a sole proprietorship. As a sole proprietorship, what that means is that the business is you and you are the business. There's no real separation. So in order to qualify for a loan, if you are a 6 month or younger or even a year business with no real financial history, what the financing institution will do is look at you, the person, your credit history, your credit standing, and your capacity to make the business work.
So, in other words, if you defaulted on your car loan, it's going to show up on your credit. If you were evicted from any of your residential homes or apartments, that's going to show up on your credit.
Sure.
And so, if you're going to be doing a sole proprietorship business, and the business is you and you are the business, then what are the drawbacks, for example, of being in business as a sole proprietor versus a corporation? Do you work with a lot of sole proprietors, or more so in San Francisco, or is it half and half?
I would say there's a mix, and but it may skew more to the sole proprietorship. And the reason why is because when a person initially starts out in business, structure is one of the things that they haven't really defined yet. And structure means that you're either a sole proprietor, you're an S corp, you're a C corp, or you could be an LLC, but you haven't decided yet. And so generally, it's going to be more a sole proprietor. So from that regards, we do work with more sole proprietorships, especially in the early stages of business development.
And when we're talking about some of the small businesses that are in San Francisco, do you work exclusively with people in San Francisco? And earlier you spoke a bit about how you were primarily or more interested in job creation. Can we talk a bit more about the job creation facet of the whole aspect of this program that helps small businesses?
Sure. Job creation is actually the reason that businesses exist. That being said, one of the areas that we always want to look at and promote is, specifically in certain neighborhoods, we want to look at what would be the advantage to the neighborhood if this small business opened up in their neighborhood. And one of those advantages we would like to see is that jobs are created. And these jobs are created for individuals who live in the community, who would have an opportunity to participate in that economic environment. So one of the things that the mayor's office looks at when they are considering the kind of assistance financially that they will provide to small businesses throughout the city is how many jobs are you going to be created, and who are going to be these individuals who will have access to these jobs, and what would be the wage rate of these jobs, because we want people to have jobs that have living wages and that also have health benefits. And all that feeds into the job creation aspect of being a small business owner. And if I could take it one step further, if we recall, when we were in that credit crisis back in the 2007, 2008, one of the things that we all were very aware of in the small business industry is that jobs were still being created. And that was a very important aspect of a job, of a business retaining itself. And we also noticed that more jobs were being created by small micro businesses than by big corporate businesses. So, to your point, jobs are very vital to small business development. And that's one of the major drivers and the major factor that is looked at and evaluated when we're working with small businesses.
I understand. And when you're working with small businesses, do you actually provide any funding or assistance for example, just buying a piece of software to handle payroll internally in a business runs you $700-800. So how is that entered into the equation?
You're right. So, a couple things. And one is that when an individual is looking at a loan, and that loan is to help the ongoing operation, successful operation of that business, what we encourage the small business owner to do is to take into account all the things that are going to be needed and required in order to run that business successfully. So we have them to put together a laundry list or a startup list or an existing list of needs. And so what we would encourage them to do is to include the cost of those technology resources that are really helpful in assisting them in running the business successfully. So that becomes then one of the sources of the funds, sources and uses of funds. And that's one of the uses would be to include technology, equipment, technology platforms to help them run the business more successfully.
Exactly. And when a small business sits down with you, you're the director of small business services, then what you actually come in and do is you do an analysis of their profit margin, their cash flow, their ability to do their marketing, their ability to handle their payroll, and let's not forget the overhead of insurance and the rent. And even if you change a location, an awning will cost you $3,000 or $4,000 just to change the sign.
This is true.
And there are so many costs that are unexpected, so that then the services that you provide will assist a small business in identifying a lot of these extra costs that maybe they hadn't been looking at.
Sure. When we sit with a small business and we help them evaluate what their needs are, we look at more than just the existing need. We look at the future needs. And to your point, you're really referring to working capital, because that is what helps a small business mitigate unexpected things that come up. And we know when we run our homes, unexpected things happen. The same thing happens in a business. And so one of the things we always encourage our small businesses to do is have some working capital that's available and that is usable to help mitigate some of the emergencies and or unforeseen circumstances that would come up during the course of operation.
Exactly. And in some respects, some small businesses go ahead and apply for credit lines and spend, and then they end up at the end of the year in debt and have to close their doors. So how is it that you can determine when you're evaluating and working with the business what their longevity factor is, for example?
Well, this is why we encourage small businesses to put together cash flow projections. And those cash flow projections will give at least some indication based on their industry and the ebbs and flows of the industry and the research that has been conducted about the industry and the long-term advantages of that industry. And so you can, as a small business owner, you can get an idea of where you're going to have some wrinkles, looking at your cash flow projections, because they're for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and even 5 year down the road. And then that allows a small business to plan for those down times financially and to make some kind of recommendation of the resources that will be required before they're needed.
Let's talk a little bit more about, for example, let's say a dog grooming business. Someone just got started in the dog grooming business, and right now San Francisco has over 44,000 pets. We only have 30,000 kids in the unified school system. So is that research enough, or would there have to be additional research to justify that one more dog grooming service should open up?
Well, that's a beginning, and that is a very important beginning, because what you're looking at with that type of research is trying to define, is there room for you, in that industry? And if there's room for you in that industry, is there room for you to make money in that industry? Because that's what your research helps you to articulate, is where you're going, how you're going to get there, and when you get there, are you going to be successful financially? Because the whole purpose of a business is to help take care of you and your family. And if the determination is not made before you open your doors, or you're not evaluating all the way through the doors being open, there might be some unforeseen issues that will cause a business to close.
And how about a business that is a family operated business, and you're working with your sister and your brother and your cousins, and everyone's in the shop? Let's say it's a hairdressing shop, and there are all types of family interactions that don't always go so well, but on the upside, if they go very, very well, then at that point, would they have been, for example, if they're in business, say, for 5 years, and it's a barber shop, say, for example, and they're expanding so much, and the son's gone in and gotten his license, and now he's a barber, and then the woman's also a barber. So what then, or how then, can you come in and assist them, say they want to open up another shop?
One of the things that, backing up a couple steps, I would encourage family-owned businesses to actually address the same issues that you would if it wasn't your family. What does that mean? It means there should be, some partnership agreements in place, and those agreements should spell out exactly what the role would be of each person.
Are you talking about
operating
making
in
job
that
descriptions
business.
for your family? Yes.
Basically.
Okay, so you're going to give them not just each a title, because very often we work in family businesses and we get a title and very little money or no money, and everybody's a volunteer. So in other words, we should sit down, write up the job description, write up the amount of compensation and consideration also, right? Isn't that part of the whole business plan then?
It most certainly is, and that's why we write the business plan, because the business plan is the roadmap. It's the roadmap for the entire business from beginning to end, and especially the operation. And when we're talking operation, we're actually talking about personnel, and the personnel, whether it's your family or whether it's people that you don't know, in order to mitigate a lot of the situations that can occur in the operation of a business, the business plan, along with the agreements that have been put together, actually will allow each person to have a smoother ride, if you will.
And with the smoother ride, and with the help of Urban Solutions, and with the help of Helen Branham, you might just be the one to get some help from the city. So if you're a small business and you're interested in expanding, or if you're having some funding issues and you're looking for additional working capital, or you're just starting your business and you want some help in expanding it further than 6 months, because you have to have been in business at least 6 months for Helen to come and assist you, then you should go ahead and look on the internet, look on the web, urbansolutions.org, I believe, and log on and take a look at the various services. There's more services at Urban Solutions than Small Business Services. And I need to also mention that their board of directors looks like an Academy Awards list of San Francisco longtime people in business. I see my friend Jim Chappelle in there. I see a whole long list of people that have been in business for a long time in the real estate industry, in the legal industry. So they know exactly what has to be done and what can be done. So we're going to go ahead and ask Helen to give us just a few pointers for those of you that are out there that are in a small business and are looking to expand. What would be your first steps?
Sure. If you're looking to expand your business, of course you want to take a pulse of where you are. And that is to kind of put in place information about where the business is right now, how you want the business to grow and which direction, and then a plan of how you would like to see that happen. Once you have decided that, or even if you don't know all the answers, you could call us up at Urban Solutions and we can help you define some of those goals and objectives that you are looking at in order to help you decide in which direction and how quickly or slowly you want the business to grow and in what capacity.
And we have to say that you do have workshops, tech training, enterprising women, small business services workshops, and you have legal office hours, leasing office hours, and insurance office hours. So by all means, if you are trying to start a business or expand your business just a little bit more, give Urban Solutions a look. Thank you so much for joining us, the Paula Fiscal Show. My show airs on Sundays at 3 o'clock p.m. I also upload to YouTube, and you can see all the shows. I have a Facebook page, the Paula Fiscal Show Facebook page, and I have a Twitter handle. So if you have any questions or if you have a bright idea and you want to start your business, by all means, you can use the Twitter handle, Paula Fiscal TV. And so once again, we want to thank Helen Branham from Urban Solutions for joining with us and sharing with us some of the information for your business. So as always, my motto is to stay informed.